Good evening. I'd like to call the Muskegon City Commission meeting for November 23rd, 2010 to order. I'd like to have our Vice Mayor, Steve Gowan, lead us in prayer, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Can I ask everyone to stand, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Father in heaven, especially at this time of year, when we celebrate our Thanksgiving as a nation and a people, help us always remember that we continue to be a pilgrim people, moving from where we were in our weakness, hopefully closer to you in your strength. We give thanks for your continued offer of the possibility of being more than what we are. Continue to help uplift us in all that we do for the sake of each other. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
There's one for everybody else.
May we have the consent agenda read, please?
Would you like me to take roll?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Spataro?
Here.
Mayor Warmington?
Here.
Commissioner Wieringo? Absent. Commissioner Wisniewski?
Here.
Commissioner Carter?
Here.
Vice Mayor Gowron?
Here.
Commissioner Shepard?
Here.
Okay. May we have the consent agenda read, please?
Approval of minutes, City Clerk, summary request. To approve minutes for the November 8th Commission Work Session meeting and the November 9th City Commission meeting. Staff recommendation, approval of the minutes. Moratorium on fees for 2011 vacant buildings, planning and economic development. Summary request. Request to approve a moratorium on fees charged to owners of vacant buildings that are entering their third year billing cycle in 2011. Eligibility requirements for the moratorium of fees charged are proposed to remain the same as approved for the 2010 calendar year, but intended to apply only to buildings in their third year billing cycle. Waivers would be determined based on the criteria included on the staff memo. Staff recommendation, staff recommends approval of a fee moratorium for vacant building invoices meeting the approved criteria. United States Bicycle Route 35 USBR 35 water filtration. Summary request to approve the resolution supporting the development of United States Bicycle Route 35 through the City of Muskegon. Staff recommendation, staff recommends the Mayor and City Commission approve the resolution in support of the development of U.S. Bicycle Route 35 through the City of Muskegon. Budgeted vehicle replacement, 5 Ford Rangers, Public Works. Summary request, authorize DPW staff to purchase 5 Ford Rangers from Great Lakes Board. Staff recommendation, approve the purchase. Request to rescind previous commission authorization and authorize purchase of 4 service bodies and 1 plow, Public Works. Summary request, rescind commission agenda item 2010-87G that occurred on October 12, 2010, authorizing staff to purchase 5 service bodies from Arista Truck Systems and 1 plow from Hoekstra Equipment due to improper bid tabulation.
Excuse me. I'll finish for you. Get a little sip of water. Furthermore, it is respectfully requested that the Department of Public Works staff be authorized to purchase 4 service bodies from Arista Truck Systems instead of the previously approved 5 and 1 plow from Muskegon Brake, who was the lowest bidder. Staff recommendation, rescind commission agenda item number 201087G from October 12, 2010 meeting and authorize staff to purchase 4 service bodies and 1 plow. Item F, amendment to the zoning ordinance, regulations on fencing, planning, and economic development. Summary request, staff initiated request to amend section 2324, temporary building structures and uses of Article 23, general provisions, to provide regulations on fencing as part of erosion control measurements. Staff recommendation to approve the zoning ordinance amendment. Committee recommendation, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the request at their November 10th, 2010 meeting. Item G, special events, policy revisions, planning and economic development. Summary requests. City city staff is recommending several modifications to the special events policy. Some of these revisions include fee changes, earlier submission deadlines, and costs for city equipment and labor. In addition, for any events with approved street closures, the closures must not occur until 12:01 a.m. the day of the event, and the streets must be open to traffic by 6 a.m. the day after the event. Staff recommendation to approve the revised City of Muskegon special event policy. Committee recommendation, the City Commission work session reviewed the revised policy at their November 8th meeting and recommended that it be presented to the Commission for approval on November 23rd, 2010. Item H, budgeted equipment purchase, combination sewer and catch basin cleaner. Summary of requests, authorize staff to purchase one combination sewer and catch basin cleaner from Jack Doney Supplies. Staff recommendation, approval of the purchase. Item I, approval of Realtor for Neighborhood Services Properties, Community and Neighborhood Services. Summary request to approve Exit Lakeshore Realty to be used by the City of Muskegon Neighborhood Services Properties. Staff recommendation to approve Exit Lakeshore Realty for Community and Neighborhood Services Office. Item J, reclassification of water filtration plant supervisor position, Public Works. Summary requests, change the classification of the filtration plant supervisor position from range 5 to range 3B. This proposal will result in a net annual savings to the city of over $2,000, in addition to enhancing the city's ability to attract more qualified candidates to fill the vacant position resulting from Bob Vina-Clausen's retirement. The savings are in the form of modifying the position to a salary-based position without any additional on-call and/or overtime compensation, which we currently pay. Staff recommendation, approve the reclassification of the filtration plant supervisor position from range 5 to range 3B. Commissioners, you've heard the consent agenda read. Are there any items you'd like to have removed for further discussion? Item G for me, please. Commissioner Carter.
Seeing none, I move that we approve the consent agenda as read, minus item G.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Carter, supported by Commissioner Spataro, to approve the consent agenda as read, less item G. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
Yes.
Mayor Warrington?
Yes.
Commissioner Wasewski?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item G, Commissioner Spataro.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we may begin debate. I would move that we approve the revised special events policy as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Spataro, supported by Vice Mayor Gowron, to approve the special events policy revisions as presented. Chief Kleibecker in the house?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess I asked for you to come up. I know there's more than one person that's part of the committee that made the recommendation, but as I recall at the work session, you were the one that basically made the presentation to the City Commission, and I received some phone calls on this item, and so just sort of refresh, I think there was 3 or 4 different items that we were going to change.
Probably, Kathy, I think there's 3 major areas. One dealt with the increase in fees for the actual application itself. Then we had the street closing issue, where the recommendation was to really tighten up that window when we would allow streets to be closed and vendors to be put in place for whatever needed to be put in place for whatever event that was going to take place. And finally, there was a recommendation centered around the Labor Day weekend.
Okay. And as I read it, was basically for events that happen between April 15th and September 30th.
Yes, I believe if they get them in prior to April 15th, the rate will stay $50, whatever the current rate is. After that, then there'd be an increase in the fee based upon the number of events that applications.
So at this point in time, the only fee that we're looking at as far as increasing, as far as the policy is the initial application fee for any event that happens between April 15th and September 30th that is applied for after April 1st or April 15th, whatever the date is? April 15th.
Apply for after the 15th. That's the only fee increase area, yes.
And then on the roads, we have it as 12:01 a.m.
The day of the event.
The day of the event.
Yes.
I've had some remarks from people as to how difficult that is for them to try to put together an event and have it come off that same day with so many people working to put that on. I also understand the concerns of many of the business people, for instance, down on Western Avenue where we have closed streets, that closing down the streets infringes on, for many of them, their customers to be able to get to them. Has there been any thought on adjusting that to a time that could be maybe amicable to?
We've had more discussions internally. Obviously, this has been kind of a continuing work in progress, especially as we've gotten feedback, as I'm sure the commission has as well. And we've talked about it, bumping that, I guess, back to 6 p.m. the day before the event. That would allow most businesses to operate the day before an event without any interference, without streets being closed, with access not being denied to customers. Approximately 6 p.m., then we would shut the streets down and turn them over if it's one of those events where they need a street closure. And primarily, we're talking about Western Avenue. That would occur. We'd back up and make that 6 p.m. the day before the event. So you're gaining 6 hours of time there, yet not interfering with customers coming to different variety of businesses downtown.
And then on Labor Day, as I recall, the language basically said that we wouldn't have any special events on Labor Day.
Correct.
And as I recall, last year, and I think I participated in two, that there were two walks, one that went out of Heritage Landing and one that went out of Margaret Drake Park. In the memo, it indicated that the only one that would be allowed would be the Labor Day parade. Do you think that we could give some consideration to the fact that some other events perhaps that aren't tied with alcoholic beverages, that we could consider being open-minded to those type of events on Labor Day weekend? And if there was an event that wanted to perhaps do something, instead of just saying we're not going to do anything on Labor Day that had alcohol, that it could be something that could be brought to the City Commission?
Yeah, and generally, we haven't had events come before you because generally we have so many, but I think in this particular case with the struggles that we've had, that if there were to be an event with liquor during that time period, Friday of Labor Day weekend through Monday of Labor Day weekend, that group come before you and have a discussion before you, certainly with staff discussion as well. I think we have to be careful because one thing we didn't think about were businesses who just wanted to do license extensions. In other words, bars who currently have a license, if they want to do an extension for that weekend, and that does not require any city service, we want to make sure that they're allowed to do that. They should not have to come before you. That's something that I can handle through our office. Does not require city services generally because it may not be in conjunction with an event. If it is in conjunction with an event, then that's part of the discussion I think we had before this body if we handle this, if we go this route. But certainly for a bar who wants to do a special on Labor Day weekend, for them to come and request just an extension of their license, that's no issue for us. That we should, stipulate that, put that in a category where that's not what we were concerned about when we discussed this whole Labor Day weekend thing.
Okay. All right. Then one other item that has been discussed with me, and I don't know about any of the other commissioners, but it's it's police officers and their presence and how many and those type of things. And in our special events policy, a quote from it, while a police officer's presence may not be required at all special events, it shall be the discretion of the public safety director as to whether or not and how many city police officers will be required at any event. I know that there can't be anything set in stone because each event is different in days and those type of things, but could you maybe give us an overview as the types of things that you go take under consideration when these type of events come forward to the city?
Certainly, and I want to say, and usually when a group comes in for an event, whether it's a new event or old event, if there's going to be any at least potential requirement for police services, we always meet with that group. Sometimes it's just a phone call. If it's been a long-established event, it may be something as easy as a phone call. We touch base with them, any changes for the year, what do you got going on? If it's a new event, certainly we sit and talk with them. We talk about, is there going to be alcohol involved? What's your anticipated crowd size? What type of entertainment, if any, you're going to have? What's your venue size? Are you going to take one block? Is it just a small area? Or are you asking for the whole downtown, like some of our major events do? So in all cases, we always sit down with, or make a phone call, have some contact with, I should say, with folks when they come in who are going to probably have police services. And you're right, it's impossible to try and put in writing rules or guidelines for this because it's really event-specific. And then at the end of the year, we've just gone through this in the police department, we always sit down roughly October and look back at events where we've had police officers assigned. If we do this event next year, are we going to need police officers? Can we cut the number down? We're certainly aware of the cost factors for all the event promoters. A couple of examples, when I first came here 10 years ago, every time we had a beer tent, we always had 2 officers mandatorily assigned to that. We started looking at that over the years, excuse me, and if we have a good event history with that organization, if it's a relatively small area, if we've had no general calls for police service, in some cases we've just allowed them to go with a private security firm and not have to hire police officers. If we take parties in the park, for some years we required 4 officers to be there. A few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we looked at that and we cut that back to 2 police officers, and we talked about that particular event, the parties in the park, again in October. And I talked with our staff and some officers who have worked there, and I said, do we even need to have officers there? They are still of the opinion that they'd at least like to have 2 officers there. Sometimes you have large crowds, sometimes the crowds aren't all that great, sometimes the weather affects it. But certainly they still feel like we should have 2 officers there to avoid any possibility, and also if there are issues, that we've got somebody on the scene right away. So we always, at the end of our generally big event season, summer, sit down internally, look at the events where we've had police staff and talk about those internally, and if we need to make any changes for the coming year, based upon any conversations we will then have with the event organizers coming up for the next year.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, I hate hogging this, but I'm going to continue. Based on the conversations that I've had with people that have been involved in festivals and representing so many different volunteers from across the community that are a part of it, I think the last time that we raised the fees and made a recommendation to this body, I believe it was Kathy and you and myself that sat down and made those recommendations. And I'm wondering if we could go forward, and if the commission would approve of it, with approving some of the changes that you've discussed, the roads closing, changing from 12:01 to 6 p.m. the day before, the Labor Day adjustments of allowing existing businesses to extend their licenses, any liquor portion coming forward to the City Commission for approval, and some of the other ones being allowed if there's non-alcohol there. And then maybe with the fees, would you consider having a few people in from the festivals to meet with those that make the decision, staff, and maybe someone from the City Commission? I just think we've been doing festivals here in the city for a lot of years, but a lot of the faces that have been part of the festivals have changed over that period of time. And I'll give you an example that city manager and I've discussed is parties in the park. Some of the people complain about the $800 fee. I bring that forward to city staff. City staff says, well, that was something that was agreed upon years ago when Rick Scott was Leisure Services, and I see Chris Art shaking her head back there, and parties in the park is to be an amicable fee for everybody involved. Well, Chris has moved on to other things, isn't part of parties in the park. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, on the board. But now I'm hearing it from some of the folks that $800 is high, and then when I talk to city staff says, well, we'd be more than happy to look at it if the commission wants to charge fees for what it costs the city, because it costs more than $800. So I think maybe if we begin to have some dialogue with some of the event people, that fee doesn't go into effect till April 1st. It would give us some time that maybe if we brought it back in January, the second meeting in January, to go forward with that. Would staff have any? Would
Yeah.
commission have any? Commissioner Carter?
Why don't we just bring the whole thing back instead of voting part of it and not?
Well, the problem we face, Commissioner, is we're starting to stack event requests and applications, and I guarantee you, after the holidays come January, we're going to get flooded. So if you're okay with generally the bulk of what we've talked about, excluding maybe that fee discussion, we really would like to get this in place as soon as we can, because we're holding event applications right now, and folks need to start their fundraising and make their plans, even though we're still, 7, 8, 9 months out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Spataro?
Thank you. Well, I was going to propose tabling it too, but based on what I've just heard, maybe we're going to have to go a different direction. My concern is, and it's not that I'm opposed to any of the issues that you raised, but a lot of the concerns I hear are raised by the local business people who are adversely impacted by lack of access to their businesses, quite frankly. I got an earful at lunch today from another person. And, also keep in mind there's a lot of residential impact now with, a couple of three fairly significant apartment complexes right there, either on Western or immediately off of Western. The Heritage Village area that is impacted by these types of events. And, to be fair to everybody, I would not be comfortable approving changes at a meeting like this without giving people an opportunity to react to those, because those aren't what we had been talking about doing. I guess if it's not practical to table the matter, then I think I'd be more comfortable approving what we have, because that's what we've discussed, with, the revisions that seem to be acceptable to be, implemented either in our meeting in December or the first meeting in January. But I just don't really feel it's fair to those folks to, when we've been telling them, for example, well, instead of having your street tied up the day or two before the event, it's going to be midnight the day of the event and 6 a.m. the following day. Well, I wouldn't be comfortable changing that without going back to those folks and letting them know and to see what their opinion is.
Well, again, I see, correct me staff, that we won't have any of those events until, or traditionally, we haven't had any of the street closures until we get to summer, that perhaps we could come back at the same time that we make a recommendation on that. That would give the time. I think the discussion that I've had is that 6 o'clock is a fair compromise for the businesses, because most of the businesses that don't have are closed at 6 o'clock, other than perhaps those that are in the food and beverage industry that are in the downtown area. As far as the residents, I understand that concern, but I would think that for many of them, they would like to see people there at 6 o'clock setting up and getting most of that work done, rather than starting at 12 o'clock midnight while they're trying to sleep.
Well,
So,
and they may.
Yeah.
But it's a change from
Yeah.
what we've been telling people.
could you think that would fit if we,
The street closing
Yeah.
piece? Those events, with the exception of the Snowfest, which is just between 3rd and 4th anyway, I don't know if that's a big issue. I know they're waiting to hear from us, and we're still okay with a 1-block closure, I think, since that's been a long-time event. Maybe we make that part of that fee discussion and the road closure discussion. If we could do something with the Labor Day tonight, that'd be great, because I won't have phone meltdown anymore.
all right. Commissioner Shepherd.
Thank you, Mr. Master. I was wondering, you were talking about involving some of the people who are participating in, some type of gathering. Is this something that you plan to do? And if so, I would like to know, how would you choose these people? Would you get them all, or would you open it up to each and every one to take part in some of the discussion?
I'd like to defer to the mayor.
Pardon me?
I'd like to defer to the mayor.
Well, I think, Commissioner, I think we could take some of the longer-standing ones. I think that it would be important to have summer celebration at the table, probably parties in the parks, and I don't know, maybe one or two others. I don't know that we need a large group, but I think any of the issues that they have pretty much together. Parties in the park represents a good portion, over the years, has represented a good portion of the nonprofits in the community that use that as a fundraising. And while they may not be part of Parties in the Park every single year, they do perhaps have opportunities at other events. For instance, at the LST, or Hot Rod Harley Davidson has had some events down there where they've had that. So I just think that my thought process on it is I'd really like some of the transparency to be there so that they can see what the costs are, so that I think there's some people out there that thinks that the city's trying to make money on this and that type of stuff. So I think we need to have some transparency for them to see what our costs are, and I think that if we have 2 or 3 events and city staff that are there that can have some dialogue about the costs and some of the issues that they face, that it can open some dialogue. But in particularly, I think the fees that we need to take a look at.
Good. I just really think it's fair that if they're going to hold these events and they want some input, I don't see anything wrong with it. They have input. It doesn't mean that it has to go their way, but remember, majority rules. And I think they should have some input, then maybe they can see, the problems that we have. And, my philosophy and my motto is people support what they help create. So if they create something, they'll work by it. Thank you.
Commissioner Spataro?
I was just going to say, if this group is going to go beyond the fee structure, I think it would be important to have some of the businesses represented as well, and not just the special event organizations.
Right.
Should we vote on the motion? You want to amend your motion? Are you willing to amend your motion?
Well, I think if we want to make changes, it would be cleaner based on the number of, to have an amendment made and voted on, and then the underlying motion voted on. I think that would be, given the number of proposed amendments, that would probably be a better way to go. So if you had those, somebody could, because I don't know what those amendments were off the top of my head, other than you wanted to defer action on fees and change the start-off time from midnight to 6 p.m. the day before.
But midnight to 6 p.m., you want open for some discussion and
Well,
to
I
get back.
think this is going to be a working document,
Yep.
clearly.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's kind of where I was coming from. Let's just approve it, and then we can come back with a list of changes in the next few meetings as we work on it. I'm not sure what the cleanest way to go. I mean, if we just hadn't heard, well, we've got applications stacking up already, I would say let's table it for a meeting and make these changes and bring it back so we can vote on a clean document up and down that we've all had a chance to look at.
I think that'll work on it, Kathy, is that, we can get going, we can start processing applications with this document, knowing there'll be some tweaks coming to it. We certainly, hear the commission, we've heard back from the community, we'll have the meetings, but if we at least adopt this tonight, at least I think we'll feel comfortable moving forward and start processing applications so that these groups can get their money and so forth lined up and get their plans made for next year.
So we'll vote on the motion as it stands and make the adjustments to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wisniewski?
Yes.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
Yes.
Mayor Warmington?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Commissioners. Good work. Are you okay to read, or would you,
Fine.
are you sure?
Yeah, you can hear me?
I can hear you. I don't like to hear you struggle. No, I can read it. You want me to read it?
You volunteered.
Another hat.
That'd be unfinished business, item A, please.
Second reading, rezoning request for the property located at 1823 Commerce Street, Planning and Economic Development. Summary request to rezone the property at 1823 Commerce from B4 General Business District to B5 Governmental Service District by West Michigan Therapy. The applicant would like to run a transitional living center at this location. Staff recommendation, approval of the rezoning. Committee recommendation, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this request at their October 14th, 2010 meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter.
I would motion that we table this until our December 14th meeting so that we have a full commission to vote on this.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Carter, supported by Commissioner Shepard, to table this item until December 14th, and we have a full 7-party thing. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Spataro?
No.
Mayor Warmington?
Yes.
Commissioner Wisniewski?
Yes.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowron?
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you. New business, item A, please.
Youth Basketball League and Open Gym and Swim Proposal, Muskegon Public Schools, Planning and Economic Development. Summary of request, staff has been working with the Muskegon Public Schools in an effort to transition the Youth Basketball League and Open Gym and Swim, formerly supervised by the City Leisure Services Department, to the schools. This is a logical transition as the public school buildings were used for the programs, and the majority of those attending have been students of Muskegon Public Schools. Although it is too late to start the program this fall, the schools have submitted a proposal that would include both boys and girls basketball in the winter-spring. Open Gym and Swim would be held during this time as well. The Commission is requested to approve the proposal and authorize staff to enter into a formal agreement with the schools for oversight of these two programs. Staff recommendation to approve the Youth Basketball League and Open Gym and Swim proposal and authorize staff to enter into a formal agreement with the schools.
Thank you. Commissioner Spataro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move that we approve the Youth Basketball League and Open Gym and Swim proposal with Muskegon Public Schools.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Spataro, supported by Commissioner Shepard, to approve the Youth Basketball League and Open Gym and Swim proposal with Muskegon Public Schools. Commissioner Carter?
I am very happy to see this.
I am. Beautiful.
I do have a couple questions, though. Is it going to be the same grades that we initially ran when we ran the program?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the fees, I assume they're going to charge. Is the school going to keep that money?
Yes, and we do have, actually, I believe, 3 people here from the schools. Joanna Christofferson is the person that I've been working most closely with that's actually going to run the program. And where is she? Oh, there she is. So I can let her answer specifically any questions you have of them. But I'm also thrilled that the schools have been willing to take this over and basically run the same program we have. It's a logical choice. They're in the school buildings. They can get the word out to the kids, and they're more than willing to work with the kids, the families, the neighborhood people that can assist as well. My understanding is that they would charge $25, which is what we charged last year without the shorts. If the kids want to get shorts, they can deal with that as they want to. But I basically had presented what our costs were and also what we took in as well, and that's their plan to do that also.
I think the Open Gym and Swim, there's no charge for them, correct?
That one, yeah, we were just talking about that earlier. I think we charged $1 or $2, so they would continue, but, you know, a similar type fee for that.
I just want to say, I am extremely pleased that the partnership between Muskegon Public Schools and the city is able to go forward. One other question I had. Now, the dollars that we put into this, is that coming out of the initial, is the total amount that was in leisure services? That's not going to affect the programs that we plan on running this summer, correct?
Well, this is part of the overall, I view this as part of our, as we grant, this is one of our grants that we're granting out. We have the funds, both that you had included in the general fund, but then we also have CDBG funds. So we still, it will still enable us, and I'm actually working with other groups right now to look towards summer. I'm hoping to have a request for proposal that will go out in January. There's one major entity that's interested in possibly doing something with the summer playground program, which I'm hoping works out. But then probably several smaller grants too to neighborhood groups. We talked about neighborhood church groups, the sports leagues, those types of things, to smaller grants to assist with our residents. So there will be enough, I think there's going to be enough money left with this program for our winter, spring, and then enough for the more money, actually, that would be available for the summer programming. So.
That's all the questions I have.
Can I mention one more thing that that Isabel Blake Evans, who's also here, wanted to make sure, oh, there she is, to let you know that this is contingent on the school board's approval as well, so just so you know that that will come after this. But.
Well, I hope the school board doesn't have a problem with approving this. It's
sure
a
not,
good
right,
collaborative
Isabel?
effort between the city and the...
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Warmington,
Yes.
Commissioner Wisniewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gowan,
Yes.
Commissioner Shepherd,
Yes,
Commissioner Spataro,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you.
good job.
Item D, please.
2011 salary schedule for part-time and limited-term employees, and the 2011 salary schedule and fringe benefits for non-represented employees, city manager. Summary of request, number one, to establish the 2011 salary ranges for part-time and limited-term employees. Number two, to approve and adopt the proposed salary ranges and salary schedules for the non-represented administrative, technical, professional, and supervisory employees for 2011, a 1% increase. Increase the employee health insurance biweekly premium copay from $20 to $30. Staff recommendation, one, to approve the 2011 salary ranges for part-time and limited-term employees. Two, to approve and adopt the proposed 2011 salary ranges, salary schedules, and fringe benefit changes for non-represented employees.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Gowan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we approve, one, to approve the 2001 salary ranges for part-time and limited-term employees, and secondly, to approve and adopt the proposed 2011 salary ranges, schedules, and fringe benefit changes for non-represented employees.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Gowan, supported by Commissioner Carter, to approve the 2011 salary ranges for part-time and limited-term employees, and to approve and adopt the proposed 2011 salary ranges, salary schedules, and fringe benefit changes for non-represented employees. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Gowan,
Yes.
Commissioner Shepherd,
Yes,
Commissioner Spataro,
Yes.
Mayor Warmington,
Yes.
Commissioner Wisniewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Is there any other business? I do want to note that we have Representative Mary Valentine here. Nice to have you here, representing the 91st District. I also see Commissioner Gill and Commissioner Nash from the County Commission. Thank you for being here. Diana Janchuk? Hi. I also need for you to give your name and address, please.
I have remarks prepared I'm going to read because I'm
fine.
a public speaker. My name is Diana Jancek. I live at 6543 Hancock Road in Montague, Michigan. I was born and raised in Muskegon. As a young adult, I lived in Muskegon Heights, the city of Muskegon, and Lakeside. I moved to Montague in 1984 after having lived in a low-income neighborhood in Grand Rapids for 4 years. Beginning in January of this year, I've been working in downtown Muskegon at the McLaughlin Groves Urban Farm at Iona and Sophia, along with my son and others employed through Title V and Youth Employment Program through Goodwill Industries. I am here today because my city is in trouble. The escalating violence that we who live and work in this area know all too well is beginning to spiral out of control. After the last serious shooting episode on November 12th near the Wood Street and Isabella area at 12:30 in the afternoon, in which my son, working nearby at the hoop house, heard a bullet whiz over his head, I have been learning all I can about what causes are for this violence in order to find some sort of solution, what the causes are. Almost everyone I've talked to tells me the same thing. It's the lack of jobs and opportunity in our city, and this has brought us the crack economy. And the problem is now that because there's less money than ever, there's less opportunity and less employment than ever, even the crack economy is not sufficient, and the dealers and sellers are stealing from each other with a resulting turf war that has brought in outsiders from Chicago and Detroit as well. I did a Google map of all the incidents of shooting in the city of Muskegon, particularly since this summer. The overwhelming majority of the shootings are happening in the McLaughlin, Nelson, and Angel neighborhoods. Yet when I attended a recent meeting held at Community and Compass, and the two community officers for this area were asked if there had been any additional officers assigned to these neighborhoods, their response was not encouraging. They said that the city has experienced budget problems like all places right now, and the number of officers has actually been cut. I have learned from another person in the department that they were not entirely correct, that there are operations going on that these officers were not aware of. To be honest, I'm not concerned with these other operations. Every time there's another shooting and no one's apprehended, and the witnesses will not come forward, the police lose heart, and the neighborhoods grow more fearful about coming forward for fear that they will be retaliated against. As the cycle continues, it's only a matter of time before an innocent person is caught in the middle and killed. Not only will this be a tragedy for that person's family, but it will be a tragedy for our community as well, for a city that has struggled for decades to come back. I'm not here tonight to place blame on the police department. They are doing the best they can with what they have. Nor am I blaming the neighbors who will not come forward. In a situation where armed thugs walk boldly right down the middle of the streets in broad daylight, our neighborhoods shooting at each other in broad daylight, the neighbors know only too well what will happen if they talk. No, I'm here tonight to ask you, our elected officials, where you have been in all this chaos. What seems to happen every time there is another shooting is that there's a brief report in the Muskegon Chronicle or on TV 13, and then silence. As if there's no cumulative effect of all this violence on the people who witness it. Where is the mayor holding a press conference telling neighborhoods, I'm on top of this and I will make your neighborhood safe? Where are the city commissioners? Where is the prosecutor? So my request to you tonight is, number one, we need to have a more visible presence from our elected officials, and I would suggest that you start with town halls in each one of these 3 affected neighborhoods. Number two, you need to give the police department the resources they need to get more patrols on the street immediately. If you are unable to do this, then I ask that you go to the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners and request help from the Muskegon County Sheriff Department, or to the state police, or to the National Guard. People have a right to feel secure in their homes and secure in their ability to get to and from work and to enjoy their neighborhoods again. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Harris, I believe.
Hello, my name is Michelle Harris. Stay at 3060 Maple Grove Road, apartment 337. I am here today. I am the stepmother of the last young lady that almost got abducted Friday. I'm here to ask what is being done and how long will it take to get an answer and to get this guy apprehended. October the 8th, Joy Allen's daughter, she wasn't so lucky. That child is now receiving counseling, has nightmares. Her mother is still in tears. This right here has to stop. My husband has been going to school with our daughter every morning. She's a safety patrol. My child was blessed because she was taught, you don't talk to strangers or no matter what. Just today, she sat up there and said, you know what, Daddy, Mommy, I was lucky. I'm glad it happened to me and not to no one else because I'm smart enough to know you don't talk to strangers and you back away. These are little girls. Joy's daughter was 9 years old. My daughter was 10. We need to know what is going to be done. When the little girl got raped in the library, it took a week for that man to get apprehended. Joy's daughter is October the 8th, and here it is November the 23rd. Why is it taking so long? Those are my questions for you guys today.
Any response from staff?
I'll go back to the first situation where the young girl was kidnapped. We had detectives work on that for 2 weeks straight through weekends and so forth, and we had a lot of tips phoned in, which was good, and we followed up on every one of them. Those tips have dried up, nothing panned out. We currently have evidence at the Michigan State Police Crime Lab. They've been expediting it as fast as they can for us, but it's DNA. It takes quite some time to do that, even with them expediting that for us. That case, in all likelihood, will be what we call a scientific case. It'll have to be made on what evidence we were able to collect. At this point, we have nothing hard as far as real suspects in that case, even though we've done a ton of work and a ton of interviews. In regards to this case from Friday, we have detectives working it. We have tips being phoned in continually, and we're following up on those tips. The information we had was somewhat general. We don't have specific information, but we have a number of officers and detectives assigned to that, and then I just checked late this afternoon with our command, and they're still receiving tips as far as vehicle and suspect information. We're following up on those. And she's right, we have nobody in custody in either case at this point, but we're actively working both cases.
Are we doing anything as far as police presence,
Yes.
particularly during those two abductions? Were both, I think, morning, but certainly while the children were either on their way to school.
I won't go into specifics,
Yep.
but we have added
Okay.
and amended some plans since the October incident, yes.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would care to address the agenda? The commission?
I'm Gloria White Gardner, 3742 Fairway Drive, Muskegon, Michigan 49444. I had not intended to speak this evening, but as I was sitting listening, a light bulb went off, and if this is not the proper venue to bring this up, then I will take my seat. But I was thinking as someone spoke about the violence, and we have had a rash of violence in not only Muskegon, but Muskegon Heights and other areas. Since it was brought up tonight, and we're talking about the city of Muskegon, there are some of us in this room, along with several agencies, United Way agencies, that have as their mission children and families. And I was wondering if the city could convene, as was recommended in some of the neighborhoods, a forum, even if it's here at City Hall, where we can discuss some intervention programs in conjunction with the police department that could target young men in particular as it relates to rites of passage and male role responsibility so that we can start intervening before it gets to the gang level and the violence level. Just a suggestion, and if that is so, then I'm sure that several people in the room, along with myself, would love to serve on such a committee or convening of a forum to address those. I know the police department is at wit's ends, as neighborhood associations are, as citizens are. And sometimes we don't react until we do reactionary measures instead of proactive. So just a suggestion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, Commissioner Carter?
Mr. Gardner, I think that's an excellent idea. Me and the mayor actually tried to do that probably about 5 years ago, and we got no response from the community. Nobody. We set up meetings, they never come.
Yeah, I understand that.
I don't have a problem with trying to do it again, but, you know, and I think you would be one of the ones to step to the table, but we had community leaders, school district leaders, none of them would come to the meeting. We tried to do it 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. I think one time it was just me, the police chief, and the city manager. That's the only one that showed up. And there were probably 12 to 15 people who were invited, different leaders in the community. If somebody, the problem is, I don't think, considering the amount of resources the city spent to try to do this about 5 years ago, and this happened 3 or 4 times we tried to do this, I think if an outside agency wants to step forward and bring the city into it, that's the way to go. Because when the city has tried to initiate something, the community doesn't respond. So I'm all in favor of any type of plan that any outside organization wants to put together and include the city in on. But again, when the city tries to do something, we're the first ones to get the complaints. But when we try to do something, when we ask the community to step up, they run. So again, I have no problem with doing this, but it's got to be a two-way street between the city and the community. That's all. Thank you.
And I think we need to have the Board of Education also involved in this.
Well, I'll get with Ms. Phyllis Laudermill-Watson and a couple of other people and see if we can do that, because I remember when we had the Weed and Seed program through the Department of Justice, we did have some intervention programs. And I know sometimes folks get past a certain age and it's hard to reach them and grab them back because we've let them get to that age without intervening. But it is something to think about. And I will get with Chief and some of the other people that are in the room and maybe United Way and see.
Well, why don't you, as you move along, why don't you contact Commissioner Carter, and we'll have a couple of elected officials that are there.
Okay. And maybe we can track down the Justice Department again for some intervention funds.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would care to address the commission tonight?
My name is Shawn Tate. I live at 330 Catawba, Apartment 1. I want to kind of remark on what she said. I am the president of NAMI Muskegon Share Affiliate. Our office right now is in the new mental health center. We have a library there on mental illness issues. We were talking about doing basically the same thing, is to run a forum on mental health issues and the violence, and we would like to put together a forum ourselves as well to bring together the mental health community to serve the needs and to join together with the police, the legislature, our elected officials, and anyone else that would like to learn about how we can either divert for jail diversion for mental illness, how we can recognize the symptoms earlier, and and help people get the services they need. And whether that's, either putting maybe a community center or whatever we need to do to get things happening, or divert the kids, to get them off the streets, whatever we can do to make things happen. So our group is also willing to put together a forum and then help maybe partner with you guys as well, or pull you guys into, or invite you to participate in our forum. So I would be willing to take any phone numbers or cards that you guys have as well, or contact the city commission. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay. How do you spell your last name?
T-A-T-E.
T-A-T-E. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had it as K-A-T-E, so I'm glad I asked.
It's kind
Okay.
of,
Okay, all right, thank you. Please step forward.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm the Reverend Nana Cradaville, now retired, and I live at 1571 Lexington Avenue. I'm here to put you back on the hook. Folks, Ms. Jancic presented you with a major problem here. Ms. Gardner came forward and gave a suggestion, and let me just say, Commissioner Carter, that in my profession, the times I have heard, we tried that and it didn't work, has been innumerable. I have a great deal of sympathy for you, but it is part of your basic duty as elected officials and as staff to keep the people of the city safe. It is not the duty of Ms. Gardner and all the volunteers that she can muster to take on that task. Now, many of us would be happy to cooperate with you. Many of us are absolutely distraught at what is happening to our city. But gentlemen and ladies, it is your responsibility. I'd like to see, you were very helpful to this gentleman, and I really appreciate you doing it. I'd like to see some sort of reaction from you folks that shows that you take gunfire in your city at least as seriously as a tarped car.
Okay. Thank you. I think you've heard a response from our police department, and those are the ones that the city has to take care of the public safety. And you've heard Commissioner Carter's stance on what's happened in the past, and there have been a few of us that have been involved since the shootings this summer with some other groups to move forward. The police department, chief of police, was partnered with the prosecuting attorney's office and also the police department of Muskegon Heights and a group of pastors within the community to move forward. Commissioner Carter and myself were, along with Commissioner Nash and many others, have been part of a group that's trying to move forward. It's unfortunately, Pastor, it isn't as simple as it appears as though it should be. We are a community, like many communities, that's in flux. We have many people out of work. We have school systems that aren't keeping children in for whatever the reasons there are, families that are broken, and there are many people, as we've heard tonight, that are crying for help, so making suggestions, and we're doing what we can do, but to have a public forum for the mayor to call and say, we're going to be all safe, when you can't guarantee it because you don't know. We have people in this, young people in this community carrying weapons. This is not the first time I've said this in the last year, probably the third time. And there are people in this community that knows who's carrying the weapons. If we want to get the weapons off the street, we need people to make the phone calls, and our police department will work to get those weapons off of the street. We need help at this local community from everywhere. People like Representative Mary Valentine, who has worked hard to try to get jobs into this community. She also understands the importance of education. She's worked on bringing those projects into the community. But it takes all of us. And there, unfortunately, as the mayor of the city, I can't guarantee the safety. I wish I could. But if I were saying, it would just be words, and I think we're all tired of just hearing words. There's a couple of us that have met with the neighborhood association in regards to what their feelings are as far as police and community relations, and we're beginning to work on that. So there are things that are going on, when I finish, within the community. I understand everyone's concern. Everyone up here understands the concern within this community. We have a lot of faith in our police department, but it depends on all of us out there to help. This poor young woman back here whose stepdaughter was accosted or attempted to be accosted the other day is one of the most frightening things that anything will go through as a parent. We just don't have the manpower to have someone at every corner. And unfortunately, those types of things that are happening now makes it change different from when I was growing up, when my parents could just let me walk off to school. Now we've got families now that have to walk their children to school to make sure that they're safe. And that's just not in this core city. That could happen throughout this county. Predators and evil people don't choose one neighborhood. It's all over. Now, some neighborhoods may get it a little more than others, but it's all over. So, I want you to know that we're working hard through our police department, and they're working hard with the other agencies, the county sheriff's department and other departments here, to try to track down all these people. But we need the citizens of our communities to step up and take a role. And I'm not saying stop somebody, but if you know somebody's got a weapon, if you know that there's people living in a vacant house, if you know things that aren't supposed to be happening is happening, call Silent Observer. They'll get the message. But we all have to work together on this, and I, for one, don't take any offense to what's been said or people coming forward and challenging. I think it's good. I think that shows the community where we're at. We're frustrated. Another woman who lives in Montague, her son has a bullet go whizzing by her head. I wish we could stop that. But we need some help. The police department needs some help. They need some people that when a crime happens that they go to and there's 15 witnesses, that somebody's going to step up and say, what's right is right, and I've got to turn it in. I understand being afraid, but that's the kind of help that we need. Commissioner Spataro.
Thank you. You know, I agree with everything that you said, but I do want to say that I'm a little frustrated. I think, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but perhaps as Commissioner Carter was when he made his remarks, because we are out there and we are doing our best to make things safer in this community. And as we've gone through this summer, I think back 3 years ago when a young man was shot down on Western Avenue, and this commission took action to try to prevent a recurrence of that, and the amount of controversy that entailed, and how much hostility was directed toward this body and the police department. What we need are people to understand we've got to work together. That sheltering people that are using violence to settle disputes are not good for any community. It's not good for our neighborhoods. It gives us all a bad image. You know, nobody discriminates between, oh, well, that's a good neighborhood and a bad neighborhood. That's a problem town. That's a community I don't want to invest in. That's a neighborhood I'm going to leave because I don't like what's going on. And that's the price we all pay when we know something and we don't speak out. And I have, and some of you here probably have as well, I've sat with a neighbor in a courtroom while he testified, concerned that he might be retaliated against to put some drug dealers away. And I'll do it again. But that's what we have to be willing to do to make this stop. Yes, we need intervention. We're working with the community prosecutor, we're working with our community officers and the police department to do cure-free sweeps in the summer to get kids at home. Nothing good happens after midnight. Seriously, nothing good happens after midnight. That's why there's a curfew statewide. And right now, we're using those resources to do truancy sweeps. We've heard about how the economy's bad and people don't have employment opportunities. Well, you have no future without an education in today's economy. If you don't have a high school diploma, you've got nowhere to go. And in fact, if you want to have a sustainable future, you need more than a high school diploma. You need to get either some technical training or some college training or a degree. That's the reality. We're never, ever, ever going back to the economy that many of us are old enough to remember, where all you had to do was be willing to work hard and show up, and then you could make a middle-class living. Those jobs, they're gone. They just don't exist anymore, and they're not coming back. And it's not like they went overseas. It doesn't take 5,000 guys to make a ton of steel anymore. That's the reality of today's economy. And so we have to start with the family. We need support from the legislature. I know Mary's here somewhere. I know she's only got there you go. To fund things like Head Start and the Great Start program. We're cutting resources where they have the greatest impact right now. Hold people accountable. We have a brand new legislature. Make sure they don't cut away things that we know work, like making sure children have nutrition, that their parents have opportunities for parental training if they need it, and that those kids get the Head Start they need so that when they go to school, they have a fair shot at a decent education and a decent life. So it's more than what we can do here alone. We need all of you to work with us. We need our police department to have cooperation with people who see things so that we can get people who resort to violence out of this community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been very frustrated on this for quite a while.
My name is Brian Clancy. I live at 338 Yuba. Let me adjust this taller so I don't bend down. I wanted to thank the City Commission today for authorizing the basketball program. And I want to thank the City Commissioner for pushing me to make me on the other side of what everybody is talking about. I see a lot of enforcement. We get the police after that, we get, people to do that, but we got to be on the other side of that. The community actually has to be on the other side of that. And I've been working. Last time for the other city commission, I was a little distraught because they got rid of the basketball program, and I started my own basketball program. And we hopefully will be working with the schools to keep the basketball program going, but hopefully through all the wiggle room, they don't really kill us because our basketball program is bigger than basketball. It's about getting parents involved, and this is about getting high schoolers involved, because we all know that the real problem is that they feel like they don't have anything to do, or they feel like they don't have any ownership. With the gardens in the community, I was able to keep kids busy. We started biking, a bike group up on Jackson Hill, where we actually got to ride down the bike path. All this stuff is happening here in Muskegon. We just got to get everybody to take advantage of this opportunity. Everything is bad. It's all bad. But that's only if you're looking for bad stuff. There's some good things going on, and like I said, I got to thank the City Commission for making me realize that we got to look at in ourselves. And as me and Charles Nash and me and Morning have talked, we are looking in ourselves to go out and start patrolling these streets and getting the adults out to say what the old school used to say: you're not right. You know better than that. And that's what we got to go back to. But we got to make it, the city also has to make it easy for organizations to plug in and say, look, we have this program. We want, the city and the school system has to start getting a little bit easier to deal with, because I know they don't want to work with anytime Jank and Hank off the street, but it's people out here trying to make a difference, and it needs to be an easier plug in, because right now I feel a lot of resistance for anything positive that I'm trying to do, because it's that old school mentality that we've done it this way and this is the way we've done it. It's broken. We can't keep doing it the same way. I'm trying, and there's some other people in this room trying, Morning is trying. We're trying to develop programs, and we just want the city to be an easy plug-in. We want the city to be a partner. And hopefully our basketball program works out to where it'll be a good success. And we'll have not only, like I said, not only the kids being involved, but the parents being involved and high schoolers being involved from the top down. That's my program. I'm not sure what this program is going to look like, but my program is that we involve everybody into the system, and then we not only do that, but if United Way has a program that they would like to offer to our students or to our players, we want to be able to say, okay, use that. It's the communication gaps here is too much turf wars in the city. We got to stop this turf war stuff and work with each other.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Wendell Bailey, and I was hearing the conversations about violence in the community.
Mr. Bailey, could I have your address, please?
223 Mason.
Thank you.
And everybody's trying to address the violent issues in the community. And from my perspective, I feel that it's time that the young men of the community take ownership of their community and not wait for nobody else to come in, no politician, no religious leader, but the young men of the community take pride in their communities, and for the neighbors to stick together, and for the people to take ownership. And what I would like to say is, I'll support any efforts of anybody that's doing anything positive in the community. If you need a helping hand, I will get behind and support anything that you're doing positive. And I feel that everybody has a responsibility to get behind any positive efforts, no matter how big of a title you have or how insignificant you think you may be. Everybody has power to make a change. And I'm looking at the man in the mirror, and every day I get up and I'm fired up about making change, and I get behind anybody that's working towards change in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. That's what I was going to recommend. And Morningstar? Star.
Brian brought up a subject about
Brian
Morning Bear 529 Houston. Brian Clancy brought up about programs going on, and Brian's been working with the kids, and I run a program through Love Community Garden Art Program, and we keep 12 to 38 kids a day all summer off the streets in Nelson neighborhood. We're still running the program somewhat on the weekends, and I've got to tell you, I don't have a single child that I'm working with right now that has not been affected by gun violence at some level or another. I get absolutely, positively no support for our program from anybody. We are totally self-supporting. I have nothing but volunteers, no paid employees, but we service 12 to 38 children every time we open the doors. And it's heartbreaking. I sat here listening, and it just, I don't know how much longer those of us that are out there in the streets and volunteering with these children, I don't know how much longer we can take it. It's heartbreaking. So I'm asking, the police department's been real good with us. I will say our community officer has been excellent with us. But I'm asking the city to get in touch with me and get in touch with Brian. And when you know we're going to be with the kids, and we're going to be working out there in the cold and the rain, and we've got the kids doing art projects, and we're keeping them off the streets, come see us. Come see these children. See the goodness in this city. See that there are parents that are bringing their kids. There are people that live in the worst streets in this city that love this city. But none of you are ever around, and I want you to involve yourself. Because with your involvement will be trust. With trust, the truth will come out. But until the trust level is built in our community with the people and the children, what we see is what we get. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tom Pastor. I live at 1291 Terrace Street. And first of all, thank you for your patience. I know it's been an incredibly difficult summer and fall for all of us. And I'm suggesting that what we need, and I've heard it from many people, is community. We need neighbors that know neighbors. We know people that are connected to each other. And those of us who are in the business of community building and connecting with neighbors are very, very, very frustrated, and it's very difficult work. As you said, Commissioner Carter, many efforts have been made to invite folks to participate, and many of them don't show up. They might even say they're going to, but they don't show up. And so it's those who show up who are going to be making the decisions. And thank you to all of you citizens who are willing to be here and voice your concerns. I believe we have a perfect opportunity to build community as a city with the 2011 through 2015 Community Development Block Grant Funds. There's nearly $1 million coming into this city that has money set aside for a variety of things, many of which are laudable, positive things. But the first two words in that $1 million are community development. And I believe that we need to make community development one of our goals for the next 5-year consolidated action plan. And I believe that if a small portion of that money was set aside for community development, for many of the efforts that we've heard enumerated here this evening, there may be a greater sense of community, and there may be a greater likelihood that we may get more cooperation from the community so that we can make our community safer for all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Is there anyone else who would care to address the commission tonight?
I'm Kim Mancotis, 6171 Duck Lake Road. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for discussing this issue. I first of all want to condemn the violence that happens in this community, not only here in Muskegon, but all over Muskegon County. And, you know, we've seen it in Grand Rapids and nationwide. You know, it's really important that we listen to the kids and create a dialogue with the kids, because in a lot of ways they're not talking, they don't think anybody cares about them. And I think we could be a lot more creative in terms of ways that we engage them, in terms of developing skills, getting to know what their goals are, and nurturing that rather than trying to say, you should act like this, because many have homes where they're not fully supported. And, you know, a lot of this begins in the home. It's not like the police department's going out and beating people up on a daily basis. You know, it's a question of people feeling like they have nowhere to go and nobody cares about them. And I laud the efforts that have happened with community gardens and so many other things. But these kids, I think, don't think anybody cares. And if we don't set up a way to talk to them and make them feel like they have some input and buy-in, then I think they're still going to be talking just past their heads and they're going to miss the boat. So you know, any way we can invest opportunities to have the kids talk to us, I think we'll make a big improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Michelle Harris, 3060 Maple Grove Road, apartment 337. in regarding to getting the kids, I have at least 30 children from ages 5, maybe up to 20, that are willing to get out here and help. Wendell's been with me from the very first march, besides Mr. Gill. That meeting you talked about with the pastors and the gangs, I started that. I begged and I pleaded for support. I walked out here. My last walk was in downtown.
Oh, I've heard you on the radio station, yeah.
My last walk was downtown, and I can tell you the number of people that actually came out then. My first walk was great. Second walk, okay. But when we came downtown, that's the least amount of people I had. But I got out there and I stopped and I talked to those kids, just like he said. You got to be able to talk to those kids, but they have to be able to trust you. And in talking to some of those young men, because I'm not scared to talk to a dope dealer on the street. Can't nobody take me from here but God. So I'm not scared of any bullet. I'm not scared of dying, period. As long as I know I'm doing right by the Lord, I'm out here. And I've been out here ever since the first incident. And I'm not going to stop. All I'm asking is for some more support. I've been trying to get the youth center going for downtown and Heights. I get no support. Only support I got from one pastor, and that was Pastor Duncan, that was willing and still is willing to let me use the old Muskegon Family Care Center in the projects, which I believe would be a great place for a youth center. This youth center would entitle recreation, education, counseling, somewhere these kids and even drug dealers that are young, because they start out so young. If you go in them projects right now, they on alert. Kids, 10 years old. While we was out walking, little boy came up to my husband. I'm strapped, 10 years old. No 10-year-old child got no business running around with no gun. I've been out here talking, ain't no real leaders of the gangs gonna come forward. And I'm just telling you the truth. They're not gonna step up. Those people y'all met with, those are the, I can say, runners. Because the real leaders ain't gonna step up. They sit behind the scenes. They send their flunkies. We need to get to the real ones, because those are the ones that call those shots, not the ones y'all met with. And I'm sorry to say that. I mean, I've been wanting to say this for a long time, and I'm just so glad I got it out, because everybody's sitting up here saying we should do this, we should do that. You can't do anything if you're not out there talking to those people that's doing the crimes. Find out why they're out there. Find out why these kids, these young kids, skipping school. I've been doing it ever since I came back to Muskegon. I've been here since '95. When I came here, I stayed on Reardon, which was a nice area. Then I moved over on 7th Street. Started to make a change on my own, because I'm not going to live nowhere where I'm not comfortable. Yeah, you can ask those drug dealers. Some of them locked up, some still gone. I changed one out of all those on 7th Street. That one gave me the inspiration to keep going. He left Muskegon. They tried to get him to come back. No, he didn't. But there can be changes made. I made them put out garbage cans at every corner on 7th Street. And this is 7th and Broadway in Columbia, where I stayed. Police, as soon as they seen that I was trying to make a difference, they helped. They started reinforcing. So I'm not saying there are people that are willing to make that change, but they do need a little more help. I mean, all the officers weren't supportive, but some of them were. And change can be done. It's just that we just need a little more support and backup when we're trying to do these. I'm not a bigwig person. I'm not a person that just likes to be out in the forefront. I've never have, but I guess now it's time for me to stand up, because I done got to the point where I got tired. When TJ got shot, I met TJ.
You know who TJ is?
Yes, I know TJ. I met him. He was a nice young man. That's what made me get out there and say, okay, enough is enough. Then the next one, sit up there, I'm like, okay, I didn't know that one that well, but I knew of him. And I'm like, it's too many young people sitting over here arguing, and it's because downtown and Heights got a beef. I bet y'all don't know, it's people coming. The reason why they're sitting up here with these new gangs now, I was told, there's a gentleman that came here from California with those projects and turned those kids out. In order to become a blood, all they had to do was make one fight. These kids don't know nothing about gangs for real. I can tell them about gangs. A true gang member ain't gonna tell you what they do or nothing. They're gonna keep everything private. So what we do need is more help and support, like he said, when we are trying to do big things and positive changes. Like I said, I've been trying to get a community youth center, nonprofit, going for a long time. And nothing. And that's a building that's just sitting there. I have a lot of volunteers that's willing to help. But nothing. And I feel like if there's a youth center in downtown and in the Heights, it can change things. But it has to be ran by regular, normal people. I'm not downing you guys, whatever. I'm not saying your presence doesn't work, but right now that's not what these kids are asking for. They're asking for real people that's been there, been where they're at. And that's what this community needs.
Yep.
That's all I have to say.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and after listening to you, I know who you are, and I've heard you on the radio station, and you carry a very important message, and thank you for the work that you do, because you do it for the kids and the people. So thank you for that. It's Thanksgiving, so we want to wish all of our fellow citizens happy Thanksgiving. Take the time to enjoy it with your family. Realize how lucky you are to have family that's here. Realize for many of us that we haven't had to go through some of the hardship and pain that we've heard about tonight. And on behalf of the commission, I want to thank all of you that have been here tonight, all of you that have taken time to come to this meeting, all of you that have taken time to let us know how frustrated you are. We understand the frustration. There needs to be more people that come and speak, and there really needs to be more people like Ms. Harris and the others of you that have spoken that become involved, that will really turn this city around and make it safer and what we're looking for. So with that, happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you in December. Commissioner Carter?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
We can keep those. I like that car.